Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano, and in this video I'm going to tell you about how the ketogenic diet is the only one that eliminates cravings, and it's the only diet where you can basically go to sleep every night without being hungry, and you are able to look at even the most sweet and sugar-filled foods like they're plastic. So that intro probably sounded too good to be true, and it's not. The main thing with the ketogenic diet is that you cut out all carbohydrates, and when you cut out all carbohydrates, your body is forced to get all of its energy needs from your fat. So what that also entails is that you're going to be eating fat as the primary source of your calories. A lot of people say it's a high-fat diet. It doesn't have to be, but most of your calories are still going to come from your fat, whether that's 60% of your calories or 80%. So once you are in the fat burning mode and your body is using fat, a byproduct of that means that you are not going to be getting sugar for the majority of your calories. The majority of your calories is not going to be anything more than 5% of carbs making up that majority of energy. Okay, majority of your energy is fat and only 5% carbs. So if your energy is only coming from 5% carbs, that means your blood sugar is way more stable. And I talk about this very frequently in my videos. But what that actually means for you on a moment-to-moment level is the sugar cravings are gone. One thing I always explain to people is that part of the reason you can't deny that sandwich at the breakfast meeting is because, you just slept the night before and your blood sugar dropped all throughout your sleep. And then it's at an all-time low, basically, right? Unless you're somebody with good insulin sensitivity, and generally you're in better shape, it'll be very difficult for you to deny that sandwich or that bagel in the morning at the breakfast meeting. And then, a bagel isn't the worst thing to have. But if you're doing a calorie diet and you're really trying to break 10% body fat, you're trying to get very lean, you're trying to be in control of what you're eating at all times, counting your macros, all that, you don't want to be splurging at a breakfast meeting, or you don't want to be splurging when you're weak. You don't want to be hungry at 3 p.m. after you get home from work and drive by the McDonald's instead of, going home and making a meal that you should actually be eating. That's part of your regimen, whatever you have a plan for, whether it's keto or not. So the thing is, when you have low blood sugar as a result of having any carbs in your diet, whether they're good or bad, if you have any sort of carbs in your diet, your blood sugar is going to be like this, up and down. And what that means is when you're at a point where you had a meal several hours ago, the reason that you feel hungry when you look at a donut, the reason that you feel hungry when you look at that sandwich is because your blood sugar is low and you are hungrier as a result of that. So there's also the role of leptin. There's the role of leptin and insulin. And those are also key players in your hunger. Also ghrelin. Ghrelin's another hunger hormone that's very key here. But for the sake of making this palatable and understandable for you, think about this in terms of your blood sugar. Your hunger hormones are going to adapt based on your blood sugar, because if your blood sugar spikes and then it falls, you're going to be cranky, you're going to be tired, and you're going to be hungry. And in order for you to satisfy those three states, you are going to have to eat more sugar. It's almost like a drug in one way, and I have a video on it saying it's kind of like an addiction, but it is drug-like in the nature of its effects, because when you have carbohydrates throughout the day, like I said, whether they're good or bad, what's going to happen is by the time 3 p.m. rolls around and you're driving home from work, when you see that McDonald's, you're going to start thinking about the food. And you're going to start salivating. You're going to start getting very hungry. And that's going to be all exacerbated by 300 times. Okay? It's going to be multiplied by 300 times if your blood sugar is low. And by low, I mean if it just fell after a spike because you had a breakfast sandwich at the meeting this morning. Or maybe you had a sandwich at lunch, okay? Even good carbs will affect your blood sugar. And your blood sugar is going to cause a chain reaction with your hunger hormones, okay? So with your hunger on a regular basis, with your hunger on a ketogenic diet, you are going to look at donuts like they're plastic. You're going to look at chocolate bars as you could take them or leave them. Okay, and that is the optimal state for carbohydrates in our body. Our body was made to look at carbohydrates and think, you could take it or leave it, but once you start eating them, you want to eat them. Because there's a high dopamine response, there's a high reward response when you eat carbohydrates because it's quick energy. And that's why it's more likely for your insulin levels to rise when you eat carbs, and that basically triggers fat storage when your insulin spikes. So what you want to do, if you really care about fat loss, if you really want to get in the best shape of your life and not hate how you feel, then the ketogenic diet is for you. Because the reason I do it is because I would be hungry all the time. I couldn't go to sleep on a macro diet without being hungry. And although I could have some white rice, to satisfy my starch craving, at the end of the day, it wasn't worth it if a couple hours later I was still hungry before I went to sleep. With the ketogenic diet, you can still satisfy that palate, the part of your palate that craves salty and savory foods. Okay, you can still satisfy all the cravings. You can even satisfy sweet. You can satisfy all the tastes you want. But the point is that you are not going to be craving those things in a manner that controls your life. You are going to have a light appetite, and when you see food, you'll probably be able to take it or leave it altogether. And if it's carbohydrate food, you're definitely not going to feel as much of a lack of willpower as you used to. You're going to feel way more control when you look at the chocolate bar. And this is ultimately why I feel people can get so much more productive with the ketogenic diet as well, is that it really doesn't allow your day to be run by your hunger and your stomach. Your brain's the one running the day. And ultimately, after you get through the first 3 days of a ketogenic diet, it gets ridiculously easy. It's literally like after day 3, your appetite drops, you're not hungry anymore, and you're really able to eat as many calories as you want the first 3 days, as long as it's keto-friendly food. So after that point, making it past day 3 is the only hard part. After there, everything is so smooth and so streamlined that you have really no difficulties at all. And this is also why I have a free ketogenic diet meal plan sample in the description, and training plan actually. And if you did want to have more of a kick-starting force to getting this path on the way, I have a 60-day keto transformation challenge, which you can enter and possibly win some prizes. So hopefully, if you had any concerns about the ketogenic diet, this cleared them up for you. As far as cravings, you are able to satisfy any taste and flavor you want, but you're not going to be subject to that the entire day. And your day is going to be run by you, not your gut and the last sandwich you ate. So hopefully this gave you some clarity. Ask me some questions in the comments. And besides that, thank you for watching. My name is Anthony Romano. Peace.